Hello and welcome to this exciting evening update. Just a couple hours ago, I released a video talking about the next relief bill that's set to be unveiled today. I talked mostly in that video about unemployment benefits, which I'm going to summarize later on in this video. But after I made that video today, I went to a short meeting, got an update from the manager at my business, sent some emails, and checked back to see if the bill had been unveiled. And it was. So naturally, I needed to make a video on this as soon as possible. So here I am rushing to present everything major on the newly proposed stimulus bill just minutes after it was released. So please consider hitting the like button on this video if you appreciate me rushing to get all this information out to you fine folk as quickly as possible. This will be a summary of the $1 trillion Republican Senate stimulus bill. After days of negotiation and several delays due to the White House wanting to look at the text more thoroughly and working through some other technical language, and then even some more delays about what to do with enhanced unemployment, we finally have a bill, a physical bill. I think a good portion of the bill won't come as a huge surprise to most of you, but certain aspects might. So let's dig right in. First, as an overview, the bill did indeed come out to about $1 trillion in size. But it's important to note that now formal negotiations begin, so that still may have a chance to increase to my $1.8 trillion estimate. After all, the HEROES Act came out to $3 trillion, so there's still a big disparity there between the House and the Republican Senate. In the bill, we have $105 billion in funding for schools and colleges. This would help support our 135,000 schools and 6,000 colleges in the country. Originally, this figure was at $70 billion just early last week, but it seems that that figure was increased by about 50% and settled upon after some internal negotiations. $105 billion is a lot of funding. However, this is still significantly less than what the House voted in through the HEROES Act. The HEROES Act included $175 billion for schools. Because of this, I expect to see a lot of future debate in this area within the Senate and between the Senate and the House on potentially getting more funding for schools, but only time will tell there. There's also a confirmed additional $16 billion in funding for COVID testing. And then from here, we have the 5-year liability shield. This is something we've heard talks of for months on end, as McConnell said that this was a red line item for him way back in March. He said on several occasions that no bill would go without including liability protections, and here it is. It's not voted in quite yet, but I can assume that there's going to be some kind of liability protection in any final proposal that's voted in. Here's how the Senate's liability proposal is set to work. It will offer a 5-year liability shield backdated to December of 2019 and go through the year of 2024 or through the end of the Emergency Health Declaration by the Department of Health and Human Services, whichever date is later. So either that declaration or the end of 2024. On its most simple level, businesses, colleges, schools, and churches would only be liable for injuries caused by the pandemic if they didn't make reasonable efforts to follow public health guidelines. I wasn't able to find exact examples of what a reasonable effort means, but we can safely assume things like social distancing and plastic shields, requirements of masks, would all be considered a reasonable effort in this case. Basically, unless your entity is being negligent or putting people in harm's way, you wouldn't be liable under this proposal. This proposal has raised concerns on the Democratic side of the aisle, though. They're questioning if it would prevent workers from being able to sue over unsafe working conditions. This is really where the nuances of law come into play. If something like this does go into effect, there will have to be a lot of defining as to what negligence means and what a reasonable effort means in these cases. This will also be another one of those items that will be subject to rigorous debate to ensure that if it does go through, there are still adequate protections for employees and for the citizens who shop at businesses or go to churches, schools, things like that. Next on the bill, we have another stimulus check, everyone's favorite item on the docket. I like to believe that this went through due to the overwhelming support the initiative received. Polls showed that both Democratic and Republican voters wanted it. Most economists advised that a second stimulus check would be a good idea. There were petitions for it. There was a public outcry for it, and legislators, I believe, know that they needed to give people this. They need to give people a second stimulus check. They know that if they give people a second stimulus check, they're going to be more highly favored in the polls. It's just nice to give this confirmation again after personally talking about this topic for so long. I know that this is going to give a lot of people a lot of relief, and I'm just really excited that it's here after all of this public desire for it to happen. The check is looking to be identical to the first round back in March. This means a one-time $1,200 payment to single filers who earn up to $75,000 per year, with payments then scaling down to $99,000 per year, and joint filers who earn up to $150,000 per year, with those payments again scaling down to $199,000. Those income levels are all adjusted gross income. No, this isn't a reoccurring $2,000 a month stimulus, but hey, it's at least a stimulus in your bank account. The best kind of stimulus is the stimulus that is in your bank account. This also means that that $40,000 income limit was nixed, and I think that that was the right choice. Dropping the limits to $40,000 per year would mean that 20 million fewer Americans would have received a check, and it would have only saved a small amount compared to the total stimulus package size. Also, it's just a hard argument to make that someone who earned $40,000 a year last year was struggling, but someone who earned $50,000 a year wasn't. So I think that was the right choice there. So if you received a check last time, you can expect another one this time under this proposal if it goes through. And it's important to note that this hasn't gone through yet. This hasn't been voted in yet. There will still be debates and changes before anything is voted in. But if we look at the facts, the case for another stimulus check makes it look like a very likely outcome. We know that the House and their members want a stimulus check because they approved one back in the HEROES Act. We know that the Senate Republicans want one because, hey, it's in this package. And we know that the president wants one because he says so just about every single week that he wants a stimulus check. So I'm going to up my odds on the stimulus check being voted in at $1,200 from 96% odds to 97% odds. One thing that we don't see on this bill is a payroll tax holiday. This doesn't come as a huge surprise because it seemed to have very few supporters and it had its problems and just didn't seem to be quite as good as just a regular old stimulus check. However, Mnuchin has stated in the past that there still is a chance that this could be on one of those future smaller relief bills. But if that will actually happen, I doubt it. If I'm going to put odds on that, I'd say maybe 10%. That even seems a little bit generous. I just don't see that happening anymore after I really took a look at the facts there. Moving on, we have some paycheck protection news. There will be a second round of paycheck protection funding for small businesses. In order to receive the funding, a business must certify that they have lost at least 50% of their revenue, and it would limit businesses to those with fewer than 300 employees. I'm a little bit up in the air with this one. It's just concerning to me that 300 employees is still a very large business, and if there's still the affiliation rule, which allowed businesses to use that cap of 300 employees per location, we could see another situation where pretty much all the funding is swallowed up by large corporations. So that's a little bit unfortunate if it pans out to be that way. A better way to do this would have probably been to allocate something like 50% of the funding to extremely small businesses, like those with fewer than 50 employees, so that a super small business who doesn't have a team of lawyers or banking connections could still get their loan in and take their little slice of the pie. Either way, I'm going to be on the forefront of this one as more details come out so I can help serve all of my small business owner viewers out there. I still think that this is an exciting part of the stimulus package, and I just hope that there's going to be some more guidelines to help limit the extremely large businesses. Moving on to the last piece of this video, enhanced unemployment. It's going to be a part of the bill, however, at a limited capacity as we expected. Enhanced unemployment will be capped at 70% of a worker's previous wages. However, because state unemployment offices can't make a change like this, like they were flipping a switch from $600 per week to 70%, there will be an up to 2-month intermediate period where states will be able to update their systems. During this transition period, enhanced unemployment payments will be capped at $200. The $200 will be in addition to normal state unemployment. Once states are able to incorporate the new 70% rule, the enhanced unemployment benefit will be capped at $500 per week plus normal state benefits. Meaning high income earners will actually receive, this means high income earners may actually receive less than 70% of their previous wages under this plan. The math is a bit tricky with all this. For example, it works out that during the intermediate period, that $200 per week period, lower income earners will actually earn more than 70% of their previous wages, where the average worker will get about 65% of their previous wages. If you'd like to hear more about how that works and a little bit more information on this intermediate period and enhanced unemployment, check out my other video from today where I break all that down and I'll show you the math on how to calculate it for yourself. So this was the summary of the new Senate relief proposal. This video covered the large topics, so stay tuned for more detailed breakdowns of this bill in the future. If this video helped you out at all, please consider subscribing. Also, check out the link in my description for Webull. If you make an account and deposit $100, you'll receive 2 completely free stocks. I got $30 for free once I did it. You don't even have to spend the $100. You can pull the $100 out later. You can keep the stocks. It's a win-win situation, so feel free to check that out if you're interested. Also, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.